Hello.
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 So you can play the introduction now.
Okay, sir. Okay.
Yeah. Did Madam join the session?
I'm just
Yes,
asking.
sir. Yes, sir. I'm
Yeah, I
very
think
much
she is
here.
there.
Yeah.
Welcome, Madam, to the
Thank you.
last day of the FDP.
Yeah.
Welcome, ma'am, and good morning. Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning.
Welcome, ma'am, and thank you so much for joining.
Dr. Madhvi
My pleasure.
the resource person for today's activity. Dr. Madhvi Kulkarni is a vice principal and associate professor of Commerce SNDT Arts and Commerce College for Women, Pune. She has total experience of 33 years. The research specialization is in HR. HR experience as a statistical consultant with more than 10 years in corporate as well as government sector. Clientele profile includes Excite India, Sriram Foundries Limited, Forbes Marshall Limited, Yashada, Top Gear Transmissions Limited. About her research papers and books author. She has authored 4 books and 26 research papers, which are presented in national as well as international conferences in UK, Thailand, Nepal, and India. Research projects as a mentor include empowerment of women by Women Ensures in Maharashtra University Grants Commission from July 2011 to July 2013. About minor projects, it includes a study of environment status of urban women in Pune city, which is published in International Journal of Research in Commerce, Economics and Management. A study of financial empowerment status of urban women in Pune city, which is published in the International Research Journal of Social Sciences and Humanities. Study of financial literacy of the students, interdisciplinary project, and changing mentality behind the research issue, interdisciplinary project. About the membership of academic bodies, subject expert selection and CAS committees in SNTU and SNTU University. A member of bodies of studies, commerce and economics and statistics, SNDT Women's University for 6 months. Member of board of studies, commerce. Member of LICs and vigilance squad. For academic consultancy include survey, evaluation of impact of reading class program of Duo-Step NGO Association ASMA France, survey of greenkeepers of the Security Research and Training Institute Initial Development Bank and CER survey of empowerment of participants in SHGs of Sangola Mata Balak Utkarsh Pratishthan Sandhu. Software development for floral calendar and mapping project central and research and training institution. Pune. I hope you will enjoy this session.
Hello. Hello.
Yes, sir. Hello.
Welcome, Dr. Madhvi Kulkarni, ma'am, and would like to request her to please proceed for her session. Dr. Madhvi Kulkarni, madam.
Thank you very much, sir. First of all, let me take this opportunity of expressing my sincere thanks to the organizers and to Dr. Atul, Principal Sir, for giving me this opportunity to talk about a very sensitive and very heart-touching topic for me and to SNDT Women's University National Education Policy 2020. I know that the participants here may not be very much interested in knowing something about national education policy because of 2 reasons. Maybe they are researchers and they are going to on the verge of completing their academics. And there will be teachers who are already here who have set themselves in the process of this educational system. But considering the fact that the next generation and generations to come after this are going to be affected much because of this national education policy positively, and it is definitely going to give us India a different type of age over others in the world. Let me start my presentation. I'm proud to present before you the presentation of national education policy because of two reasons. One reason is that I do belong to SNDT Parivar, where our former Vice Chancellor, Professor Dr. Vasudha Kamath, was the member of this National Education Commission, which was established for formulating this policy. So we were in touch with whatever is happening at governmental level, and now the policy is being implemented from the year 2021-22. Am I audible clearly? Kalyani, Miss Kalyani. Kalyani, am I audible? Am I audible?
काय फोन करतो.
Okay, I'll share my screen now and I will start my presentation. The presentation will last for 30 to 35 minutes, not more than that. That is the time which is given to me. And I will try to complete the presentation in that time. And after that, we will have...
Can you please unmute everybody? Few participants they have...
Yeah.
Sorry, can you mute?
Thank you, sir. Okay. Let me start my presentation now. I've taken the view that I'm going to explain National Education Policy 2020 with a bird's eye view, because it is not possible to complete everything in a time span of 30 minutes, with a reference to higher education, because we all belong to higher education. The presentation will cover introduction, highlights, and focus of National Education Policy 2020, then principles of the policy, salient features of the policy, vision, what is the vision of this policy, then what will be the structural changes that are going to take place at school level. It will be only introduction of that. Then what is the timeline of implementation of this National Education Policy? And then I'm going to cover a little bit of higher education and what impact will this National Education Policy have on higher education system of India. And then what the students, teachers, and technology are going to gain because of this, and how is the technology being used and will be deployed in the new National Education Policy implementation. What are the problems in present higher education structure? Because see, why is there a need of any new policy when we have policy in place? There are certain reasons why this is to be done. The very first reason is that the higher education system of today in India is very fragmented. May it be medical college, may it be engineering, may it be management faculty, may it be conventional courses like BCom, BCA, BBA. We find that it is fragmented. There is no uniformity and there is no integrity in the higher educational system of India. There is less emphasis given on cognitive skills and learning outcomes. What are we doing? We are just making it sure that every year batch of students will go out with a paper of certification without any learning outcome measured, because we are not interested in knowing what exactly is the use of that paper which is given to the student. There is rigidity for sure. There is rigidity as far as the disciplines are concerned, as far as the degrees are concerned, as far as specializations are concerned. There is very limited access to socially and economically disadvantaged areas of India to have access to higher education system. Because the higher education system is much dependent on English or Hindi as a language. And if it is to go to the remote areas and socially and economically disadvantaged areas, it should be in local languages. This is not happening today. There is limited teacher and institutional autonomy. I'm going to talk about this afterwards. There is inadequate mechanism inadequate mechanism for merit-based career management. Lesser emphasis is given on research. There is no emphasis on research. Always the emphasis is on examination and the outcome of the examination being degrees awarded. Large affiliating universities are there. Every university has many hundreds of affiliating colleges, and because of this, what happens is there is low standard of undergraduate education, because universities find it really difficult to control the quality and to monitor the quality of undergraduate education in India. Okay. We are talking about the national education policy. Are we doing it for the first time? No. Since our independence, there are many efforts done. But then what has happened is the efforts were in the different phases, and that too concentrating on a particular sector of the educational system. Firstly, it started with university education in 1948-49. Then again in 1952-53, it was secondary education that was taken into consideration. Then again, for the first time in the year 1964 till 1966, Kothari Commission is the commission which tried to give the shape to national education policy to consider all levels of educational system in India. And the policy was published in 1968, first national education policy of India. Then there were amendments that took place to this national policy in the year 1976 for making it constitutional amendment. Then in 1986, it was again changed. In 1976, the structure of higher education and school education was changed from 11 plus higher education, 11 standard and then higher education, to 10 plus 2 and then higher education. In 1992, again, there was modification done in the higher education policy. Then there was one more committee established in the year 2016, which published a report and asked for the complete revamp and re-engineering of the complete Indian education system. And on the basis of that, a committee was formed under the chairmanship of Dr. K. Kasturirangan, and this committee is the brain of National Education Policy 2020. And as I have told you already that our former Vice Principal, Dr. Vasudha Kamath, was one of the nominee member of this committee. This committee did a full-fledged job of re-engineering the full education system of India. It had many consultations done. It started in 2015. Online consultation was started on the portal of government, www.mygovernment.in. Then nearly 2.5 lakh gram panchayats and 6,600 blocks and 676 districts were consulted during the period of May to October 2015. Both the efforts, online and offline consultations, were completely done for framing this policy in the year 2015. Then the draft of this national education policy was published in 22 languages and audiobooks in the year 2019. And then it was also discussed with MPs, Member of Parliaments of Andhra Pradesh, Kerala, Karnataka, Tamil Nadu, then Telangana, and all other states as well. Then there were special meetings held of cabinet in the month of September 2019, and then Parliament passed the National Education Policy 2020 very recently in the year 2020. Now, with this background, what are the highlights of this National Education Policy? This has made National Education Policy has made it very clear that we have to have a very uniform higher education system, and that is why all higher education institutions, except for legal and medical colleges, now will be governed by single regulator. Up till now, there were many regulators like UGC, then AICTE, then National NCERT, and then There were many others for professional courses as well. Now, all of them will be brought under single regulator, and that will be governed at a national level. There will be common norms to be in place for private as well as for public higher education institutions. No separation of norms. It will be common norms applicable to both private as well as public. MPhil program is completely discontinued. Now there will be no MPhil program anywhere in India. Board examinations will be based more on knowledge application than only of recollection of knowledge. It will be focused more on application. There is one more highlight that till class 5, there will be medium of instruction will be completely either a mother tongue or a regional language. There will be common entrance examinations for all admissions to universities and higher education institutions. School curriculum will be reduced only to core concepts. There will be reduction in school curriculum, but from 6th standard onwards, there will be integration of vocational education in the school education. The focus of this policy is only on these 3 aspects. Very important 3 aspects are, first is there will be always multidisciplinary education. May it be school education, may it be higher education, it will be multidisciplinary. It will be more equitable and it will be including every student, may it be from rural area, may it be from urban area. So it will be equitable and all inclusive. And then third factor, very important factor, there will be academic, administrative and financial autonomy given to every educational institution on the basis of accreditation and on the basis of the grade which the institution possesses. Higher the grade, higher will be autonomy in all these 3 aspects, academic, administrative and financial. There are principles, 8 principles of this policy. Let me summarize them in 1 or 2 sentences. There is respect to diversity. It aims at equity and inclusion. It always insists on community participation, use of technology much focused. There should be use of technology enhanced on a very large scale. Emphasis is given on conceptual understanding and not on rote learning for getting marks. There is emphasis given on recognizing the unique capabilities of each and every student. It focuses on giving importance to critical thinking and creativity so that decision making and innovations will be boosted. It also emphasizes the need of continuous review of this education policy for making it more effective. These are 8 principles on the basis of which this policy will be implemented. Now, salient features of this policy. Once we start implementing this policy from 21-22, we are going to drop the structure of 10+2. There will be no structure of 10+2 now. It will be, for schooling, it will be 5+3+3+4. What is this? These first five are foundation years in which all KG and first and second standards are included. Then what is this 3? Third standard, fourth standard, fifth standard. Then what is third level? 6th standard, 7th standard and 8th standard. And what is fourth level, that is called as higher secondary level, is 9th, 10th, 11th and 12th. This is schooling structure. So now higher education, coming to higher education, it will be either of 3 years or 4 years. I'm going to explain this again when I come to higher education. PG level will be again either one year or 2 years depending on undergraduate level degree. Graduation will have both major and minor courses. It will not only be restricted to major courses as it is done today. only commerce, only science, only. It will not be the case. It will have the combination of both major and minor courses. There will be one authority governing full higher education system of India. There will be uniformity in grading and rules to all universities. Everything will be uniform. Now today what happens if I am SNDT teacher, I will have different rules, I will have different curriculum, I will have different eligibilities, and if I go to Mumbai University or Nagpur University, it will be altogether different. No, this is not possible in new higher education policy. Now it will be uniform grading as well as rules to all universities. Then there will be, as I have told you already, there will be autonomy to all colleges as well, not only to universities, but all colleges as well, based on the rating, based on my accreditation and my grade, which I'm going to get from independent agency. There will be multiple entries and exit for any program to every student. This is very important. I'm going to explain it afterwards. For this multiple entries and exit, what do we require? We require a credit system to be followed at every year at graduation level, because those credits will be accumulated by the student, and then student may decide to go out of this structure for 1 year or 2 years, and then again the student can join with those credits and will continue accumulating credits for the full graduation or post-graduation course. So this multiple entry and exit requires credit system. And then there will be higher education in 3 stages. First stage will be certification stage, second will be diploma, and then there will be degree given to the student after getting those many credits at different levels. Okay, this education policy has a tagline. What is that tagline? The tagline is that it wants every student to be pride that he or she is Indian. And in addition to that, the education system aims at making that particular student a truly global citizen who will be able to compete with any student of any other country. So this is the tagline of National Education Policy. So for doing that, what is required are 3 aspects. Student must get knowledge, skills, and values inculcated in the student for making his or her education more sustainable, and it should result in global well-being. So this is what our national education policy is meant for. I already given the explanation of this point to you. The schooling is of 4 stages now: foundation stage, then preparatory stage, then middle stage, and secondary stage, and higher secondary stage. I've already explained it to you. Now, this is very important, the timeline of implementation of national education policy. Considering the fact that all of us are going to be in this education system only for a few years, or maybe for more years, but this policy implementation will start in 21-22, and the complete implementation of that will get over in the year 2040. Because it requires complete re-engineering of the education system in India. So we just cannot see the benefits and fruits of this policy till the year 2040, because it is requiring the structural changes at governmental level, at national level, at state level, at university level, at college level, and so the policy will be fully operational only in the year 2040. And after that, there will be a comprehensive review and feedback of this system done. So the national education policy requires these many years and stages for implementation to be done. Okay, now I'm going to focus more on higher education policy. Higher education, because I belong to higher education, and you all who are here audience are all belonging to higher education. The aim of this national education policy, as far as the higher education is concerned, is that by the year 2035, it aims at having 50% of the student population enrolled for higher education. 50% of the student population It is talking about student population, not the full population of India. To 50%. Then what is today? I'm going to cover that in the next slide to come. Now see, what is happening in India today is our gross enrollment ratio is as low as 26.3%. And now we are to aim at increasing that to 50% by the year 2035. Is it possible? There are hindrances in today's structure, and that is what National Education Policy is going to remove. Let me give you the example. It is completely fragmented and watertight system in India. Now it is governed by many agencies. I already told you that UGC, AICTE, NCT, then Council of Architecture, then NCVET for vocational education. So I have taken a few examples here. There are many such agencies which govern different educational structures in India. Coming to only UGC, we find that UGC governs 911 universities. They are fragmented in central, public, private, deemed universities. And when it comes to universities governing colleges and UGC governing colleges through universities, the number is 41,935, and they are again fragmented in different sectors. I have taken only one classification, that is affiliated colleges, constituent colleges, and autonomous colleges. So because of this watertight structure, every student is not able to be accommodated, because we find that these colleges and universities are now concentrated in more in urban areas, and there is a dearth of colleges in rural areas. And then the gross enrollment ratio cannot be increased because the number of colleges in urban areas is more and number of colleges in rural areas is less. Now, if this is to be taken care of, what is suggested is this: the full structure will have only one bifurcation, that is universities with constituent colleges, as we are in SNDT. We are SNDT University with 5 constituent colleges. One of that is my college, and they will be either in teaching as intensive teaching, or maybe research as intensive. It will be complete bifurcation right from the first year. Either you will have to focus on teaching or you will have to focus on research. But that can be done by the universities along with the constituent colleges or by autonomous colleges. These autonomous colleges will also have to decide whether they are teaching oriented or whether they are research oriented. These will be only 2 classifications. There will be nothing else. This is what the structure is in National Education Policy. Okay, who will govern all these things? As I already told you that only one commission, Higher Education Commission of India, will govern the full higher education system of India, and all UGC, AICTE, and everybody will be clubbed in these 4 pillars of higher education system. Though Higher Education Commission will have 4 pillars. Those 4 pillars are National Higher Education Regulatory Council. This will take care of the administration of higher education system. It will regulate the higher education system. Then there will be National Accreditation Council. This council will accreditate every every institution, may it be university or may it be college, for giving the grades. This accreditation council will decide my status about autonomy. It means institution status about autonomy, whether it is academic, whether it is financial, or whether it is administrative. Higher the grade, all the autonomies will be given. And autonomous colleges will run their own structure. So, Council of Accreditation. Then there will be Higher Education Grant Council. This council will give the funding from the government to the universities and to the colleges. May it be private college, may it be public college. Every college, every university will have equal chance of getting grants through this particular agency. Now, coming to the 4th pillar, It is General Education Council. This will look after the educational system of higher education system of India. Now, what are the highlights of higher education system after this national education policy gets implemented? Many points are already covered. I will just make this is summary of highlights of higher education system. It will be multidisciplinary education. There will be no arts, science, commerce, there will be no bifurcation whatsoever. There will be multidisciplinary education. Faculty, it means the teachers as well as the colleges and universities will have autonomy of implementation, of decision making, of curriculum. More autonomy will be given to teachers as well as to institutions. There will be flexible curricular structure. Every institution will decide the curricular structure for its own needs and for the needs of the customers or the students who are going to be accommodated in that institution. There will be multiple entry and exit points. I already told this to you. Either the program will be, degree program will be of 3 years. If it is of 3 years, it will be teaching oriented. And if it is of 4 years, it will be research oriented. Degree with research will require 4 years and teaching intensive will require 3 years. Every student will accommodate the credits in the academic bank of credit, and they will be available with him or her for until the degree is awarded, until the further education is pursued by the student. For master's level, it will be either 1 year or 2 year. If student has completed 4 years with research program, then master's level will be for 1 year. And if student has done 3 years, then it will be of 2 years to complete master's program. PhD will have master's or 4 years bachelor's degree. Immediately after the student completes 4 years with research, PhD will be pursued, will be possible to be pursued by that student. Otherwise, it will be 5 year, 3 plus 2, and then PhD. This will be the structure for PhD courses. And that is what is said. Universities will have integrated 5-year bachelor and master's program. Universities running masters, every educational institution for that matter will have integrated 5-year program, including bachelor's and master's. Then there are other features for structure is concerned. All higher education institutions will have multidisciplinary. May it be a college or may it be a university, it will be multidisciplinary. And every institution, may it be college or university, will have minimum 3,000 students, So the colleges and universities with less than that number will be required to be merged, and number is required to be 3,000 to make it viable commercially, financially. One multidisciplinary institution per district. Every district in India will have one such multidisciplinary institution, either a college or the university. Then universities will be offering multidisciplinary UG/PG programs that I already told you. Accredited higher education institutions will have option to run. This is very important. Now what is happening is, if I am a college, I will only focus on the physical degree college education in the college. Now it will not be so. Every higher education institution will have all these things. What are these 3 things? Physical learning in the college. They will have distance learning, open distance learning parallelly. And the institution will also have online programs in its own structure. So the student will be able to have the combination of these 3. The student may decide to pursue few courses physically in the college, then few courses open distance learning mode, and few courses online offered by the college. So the student is going to get the benefit of having very less hours to be spent physically for college education. The student will have these combinations opted out as per the time available. Autonomous multidisciplinary degree granting colleges. Every college will have its own degree recognized by the central government. Recognized by the central government means it will be recognized equally as it is recognized for any other university. This is already covered, research intensive universities and teaching intensive universities. That is same for colleges as well. System of graded autonomy, this is also covered. This will be on the basis of accreditation of that affiliated college. Integrated higher education system, it includes professional, vocational, every type of course will be run by the college and by the university. No categories of universities. There will be no categorization whatsoever. Only categorization will be research intensive and teaching intensive. Private, public has no meaning. There will be no deemed university. There will be no public university, nothing of that kind. Only research intensive universities and teaching intensive universities. Now focusing on few important points. This may be only a summarization. Reduction in school curriculum to core concepts. There will be less burden on students. Integration of vocational education from class 6. Multidisciplinary learning at every level, school, college. So what is going to happen? There will be no curricular, extracurricular and co-curricular subject. There will be nothing of this kind. Because if I am taking physics as my principal subject, then I may choose drawing, I may choose painting, I may choose dancing, I may choose any other performing art, I may choose engineering. One paper, this is possible. So there will be nothing as curricular, extracurricular, co-curricular, everything will be in the multidisciplinary manner. Multiple exit and entries are possible. After first year, student may decide that I'm going to discontinue. The student will get certificate of completion of first year. Then student may join any job and may come back again after 2-3 years, and second year will be completed. The student will get diploma. Then he or she may continue for the last year, third year, and after completing that third year, degree will be awarded. But student will not waste the efforts taken at first year level and second year level. There will be no need of repeating those courses again, because the certificate credits are already with the student, diploma credits are already with the student, and there will be nothing as a gap and repetition of whatever the student has already completed. There will be complete flexibility and uniformity. Student may decide to do one course in SNDT and then again going to any other university in Assam, maybe in Gujarat. There will be uniformity and the structure will be so uniform. Student will not have to take any eligibility, will not have to do repetition of whatever is already done. Integration of online courses in the curriculum. Every degree program will have online courses. So there is no need that everything is to be studied by the student in the class physically. Online courses will be integrated in the curriculum itself. There will be National Research Foundation, which will look after the research needs of students as well as teachers. It will be for equitable peer-reviewed research funding for students as well as teachers. The full education will be outcome-based education of international standards, because everything will be graded, everything will be very uniform. So this will be of international standards. So students seeking admissions abroad will not find it difficult. There will be complete credit bank with the student, which can be easily accommodated and transferred wherever at the international level the student wants to take admission for further studies or for research. What is it going to get for students as well as teachers? Now coming to teachers. There will be uniform teacher training. Teacher training is a must, and it will be uniform. May it be for teachers teaching at school level or maybe at college level. Teacher training will be multidisciplinary because now the colleges, universities, schools are going to be multidisciplinary. So teacher training is supposed to be multidisciplinary. It will be 4-year integrated B.Ed program. It means the student will have to decide right in the beginning when the student starts learning whether I want to be a teacher. So if it is already decided, then right from the beginning, 4-year integrated B.Ed program will be implemented, and the teacher will be ready to be the teacher immediately after getting master's level degree. PhD holders, if a PhD holder has not decided right from beginning and has not completed 4-year integrated B.Ed course, then they will have to take credit-based courses in teaching separately before joining the teaching profession. There will be need of and there will be condition of pre-service teacher preparation program to be completed, and only after that the person will be a teacher in higher education system. There is one more condition. National Testing Agency will also test the aptitude of the candidate for being a teacher. In service, continuous professional development will be necessary for college and university teachers. Autonomy will be given. If I'm doing all these things and I'm so capable that I will be given complete autonomy in teaching, assessment, and evaluation. It will be completely teacher-based and learner-centric. So I may follow different methodologies of teaching, assessment, and evaluation. Once I am capable of teaching, I will be given this autonomy. I will get funding for research from National Research Foundation, and whatever I do, whatever teaching I do, it will be of international standards for sure. Okay, coming to deployment of technology, it is always said that it is very difficult to say, but it is very easy to say, but very difficult to implement because technology hindrances are there. So now those technology hindrances are taken care of. Autonomous body called as National Educational Technology Forum will be the platform for free ideas relating to use of technology to enhance learning, assessment, planning, and administration. In all those 4 aspects, this technological forum will be giving assistance to every institution. Technological interventions will be provided for the purposes of improving teaching, learning, and evaluation processes. This will be done by the forum. Varied educational softwares will be made available to teachers and to students for making their teaching and learning easy and technology based. There is provision of digital infrastructure and digital teaching learning platforms and tools made available to each and every institution and to each and every university. There will be content creation and digital repository made available through this technology forum to each and every institution, teacher, and to universities for deployment of sufficient technology which is required for smooth functioning of the higher education. Thank you very much. I think I have completed my presentation in the time given to me. Thank you very much for giving me this opportunity of sharing my views. I hope that I have satisfied the purpose for which I was supposed to be here. Now open to any question, queries if there are. I will like to have some sort of interaction with the participants. Thank you very much.
Dear faculty members, in fact, this session was meant for you people. So do you have any queries, any doubt regarding this National Education Policy 2020? We can move ahead with our question and answer session. Madam will be able to answer all your doubts and queries. You can put it in the chat box as well as you can directly ask. You can unmute your mic and you can ask the questions. Please, even students are welcome in case if they have any doubts, because madam, we do have few students also present here.
Yes. It is better that
So
we have students in the participation, because these will be the probable teachers of future, and they also will have to face these difficulties because of their wards being studied somewhere in the years in which national education policy will be fully implemented.
yeah,
I hope
exactly. Yeah.
I hope they will ask 2 questions.
Because, ma'am, I do have one question. When we talk about multidisciplinary approach, does this will take away the expertise of the teacher or the student? Because
No,
learning,
no, no, no. Yes,
uh,
yeah, please, sir.
yeah, see, multidisciplinary approach, because it is many times rightly says, jack of all and master of none,
Jack of all.
will lead you to nowhere actually. In fact, it is rightly pointed out that you should be topper in whatever thing you are going to do. So, what is your thought on this particular approach?
Yes, thank you very much for this question, because it is very much to be debated upon. My view is that this system will require a principal component to be studied. So, if I am supposed to be expert in any field, I will require those many credits to be accommodated. So, I do have to have the expertise in one particular discipline. But what is missing today is that I am expert in one field, but I do not have the exposure of any other field. But that will be possible in the subsidiary, it means non-principal aspect of our curriculum. So it is taken care of. There will be expertise always insisted upon, and those many credits will be very essential. Otherwise, degree will have no meaning. Degree will require principal expertise to be, those many credits to be accommodated. And the only subsidiary part of that will be available for multidisciplinary. I hope I have satisfied your query.
Yeah, yes, ma'am. Very much. In fact, that was the confusion most of the faculty members were having. Few participants, they have personally raised this query, and I think you have clarified the point very wonderfully well to our satisfaction. Thank you so much, madam, for coming to the session. And any more questions from the participant? Do the participant, Dr. Atul sir, do the participant have any more questions?
No, sir. No, sir.
No, okay, fine.
Okay.
Ma'am, thank you so much for coming as a chief guest for today's valedictory function. We'll take it as a valedictory function. Yeah, physical distribution of certificate is not possible. Now, we all know that. So, in fact, what we will be doing, we will be issuing this e-certificate maybe tomorrow or day after tomorrow. Once we receive the feedback form from all the participants, and once they subscribe to our YouTube channel, so that those who have not seen our earlier videos can just go through it and submit the feedback form along with the subscription status, so that we'll be issuing them this certificate of successful participation. In fact, madam, we have kept one small MCQ test also in feedback form, which I hope all of the participants will really enjoy it. And it is something related to teaching learning process only, not very difficult. And in fact, there's no cutoff as such. So I hope all the participants will attempt that test, and that will definitely going to gain knowledge from the point of view of NET/SET examination also. Because the pattern we have taken, the syllabus we have framed was on the basis of NET/SET pattern.
Yeah. So those who are aspiring for NET/SET to be cleared this year, please concentrate more on national education policy. It was only the introduction which I could cover, but there will be many such aspects which they are supposed to consider before making themselves prepared for the examination. I wish them every success. Thank you very much for again giving me this opportunity of joining with us. SNGT University definitely will be appreciating your efforts of taking of conducting online faculty development programs, and even other programs which you are undertaking. Thank you very much. And this definitely increases the quality of our academic inputs, which we.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you very much. And ma'am, there is one request from the participant. They would like your PPT to be shared on the our platform group. So if you can just post it across. Yeah.
Yeah. If you want, I will share it with you. I don't mind doing that.
Because it is wonderfully prepared PPT which covers almost all the aspect of the national education policy, and I think those who were not able to attend, they can just go through the PPT and see your video. That would
Okay.
be wonderful.
I'll send it to you on the WhatsApp number
Okay,
which
fine.
I have, and
Okay.
that will be available.
You can share it with Atul sir. In turn, he will share it with me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Dr.
Okay.
Atul, over to you, Atul sir. Dr. Atul.
Sir, yes, sir, yes, sir. Thanks very much, Dr. Madhvi Kulkarni, ma'am. And we move towards a vote of thanks. It is indeed a pleasure and honor to organize the international multidisciplinary 7 days free online faculty development of such a great magnitude. I am indeed grateful to all the members of our association for reposing faith in us. The organization of this FDP has been made possible with the guidance of our seniors faculty, especially Dr. Mukul Burgate sir, who is the lead editor, IGCMS. Our second day resource person, Dr. Punam Kakkad, from Nirmala Memorial Foundation, College of Commerce and Science, Mumbai. Dr. Padmakar Shahare, Associate Professor, Govindrao Vanzari College of Management, Nagpur. Dr. Shyam Shukla, Associate Professor, Bharati Vidyapith, Pune. Dr. Dilip Kumar Singh, Assistant Professor, Raisoni Group of Institutes, Nagpur. Dr. Srinivas Reddy, Principal, Aristotle College, Hyderabad. Again, thanks to today's resource person, Dr. Sunil Ikharkar sir, Associate Professor, Kamla Nehru College, Nagpur, and a special guest on request, Dr. Madhavi Kulkarni Madam, who is the Vice Principal and Associate Professor of Commerce, SNDT Arts and Commerce College for Women, Pune. I am indeed grateful to all the resource persons, students, researchers of FDP for sparing time and showing blessing on us. My special thanks again to Dr. Mukul Burgate sir and Dr. Madhvi Kulkarni madam and Dr. Sunil Ikharkar sir for helping us at all stages of planning and for utilizing their experiences as a past organizing secretary. So I would like to thanks again all the resource persons and today's resource person. So thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir. And sir, you can also put a request regarding feedback form and the subscription of channel.
Okay.
So that it goes as a reminder.
Participants, you will have to please submit the feedback form by today. You will get e-certificates by day after tomorrow. Okay.
Yeah. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you, madam. Thanks.
Okay.
Thanks.
Thank you.
So shall we close, sir? Mukul sir.